I'll just be Darth Melvin Tunnel the whole.
No. Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. Today's episode is 469, recorded on September 27th, 2017. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
Nice. I'm Josh Walworth.
And I'm Alan Malventano.
Welcome to the show, everybody. We talk about computer hardware. We talk about camera lenses. We talk about, what else we talk about?
Prime
before?
cuts of meat. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah. College basketball, FBI scandals, all that type of stuff. It's all coming up
What does
here.
the FBI have to do with college basketball?
Nothing. Not on my team, at least. Did Wyoming get caught up in this, Josh?
Do you really think Wyoming is a basketball school?
I thought you might have to pay people to come.
Well, you know, the nice thing about Wyoming basketball is it pays for itself, and that's about the extent of it.
No, all right. Football makes a profit, surely.
It's actually one of 15 schools or 20 schools in FBS that actually makes a small profit. It pays for itself, and it puts money in the scholarship fund for the university.
You think there's only 15 teams that make a profit in the FBS?
I think it's 15 to 25 of them. Everybody else is running a deficit.
I'll check my paperwork later. We'll see about that.
Let's
anyway.
see. Do you think Kentucky is a profitable FBS football school?
I would bet yes. I would bet yes, because they bring in more money than the basketball team does. Anyway, again, another show. That's for our sports debate commentary show, which is on Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. This show is about PC hardware. It's on Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific at PCPer.com/live. If you want to have a reminder so you can come hang out and watch the pre-show, post-show, all the stuff that goes into that, go to PCPer.com. What? PCPer.com/subscribe. Hold on, I need to open up this thing so that you can see my screen. Hopefully. There it is.
If it works.
How about now? Can we see it now? How about now?
It's a thinking. Oh,
you
we
got
got
something.
it. We got it.
Oh, yay!
PCPer.com/subscribe takes you to this page right here. Nice. Asks for your name and your email address, and we send you a notification when we do a live stream about this podcast or like the game thing we did yesterday, et cetera, et cetera. So PCPer.com/subscribe. Go sign up for that. Also, we have our Patreon campaign continuing to run at patreon.com/PCPer. That takes you to this page. This is your ability to sign up for this service, and it allows you to directly contribute to us on a recurring monthly basis. So if you want to give us $1 a month or $3 or $5 or $10 or $20 or $200 or whatever it happens to be, you can go.
I like 200.
I mean, definitely 200 for sure. Especially once we get our sports commentary shows going on Thursday nights. It's going to be totally worth it then.
We need to get.
Do we have to license that from different groups because they always have that content of NFL.com is not.
I don't think we're going to be playing NFL games as much as we might be talking about them. You know,
we'll have Scott
verbal or written descriptions of NFL games.
Scott will animate out what the football game would have looked like, and then there you go.
He's going to be like a court reporter. It's going to be awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah. And as always is the case, if you become a new patron and or increase your patronage during the show, I will read off your name and thank you personally during the live stream. We already have our first one. This is a new pledge from University 4 fan. For $5. So I got to tell you, these people who don't know what that is, the FBI basically arrested some people in college basketball, recruiting, coaching, whatever. And in their indictment, they didn't list the names of the schools or the coaches. It was University 1, University 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it was just like that, right?
Yeah.
But then they did dumb stuff like University 6 is in the state of Kentucky, and it's a research school, and it has 22,000 students, and it was on probation, and it has it's an Adidas
That
school.
could be anyone.
It's literally
that wasn't a dumb mistake they made. It's that in an indictment they probably can't say it.
Maybe.
But
Maybe.
they can say all the background information they want.
So now, as Kentucky fans, we're making fun of all the Louisville fans by like they've already started selling University 6 shirts, which was what Louisville was referred to as in the indictment, and in the in the Louisville font across, of course, right? I don't know. Actually, I don't know what University 4 is, so I don't know if that's
ASU. It must be Phil Hughes giving us some money.
No. I think Arizona State wasn't in it. Arizona was.
We don't want his money.
I don't know who it was. So I don't know
whoever that was. We don't want their money.
USC maybe.
USC might have been. Yeah.
I don't know.
So anyway, thank you for that, and we'll keep an eye out for it. We do have continuing on our new video coverage. We have our mailbag. PCPer Mailbag number 10 went up. This is me here, basically talking into a camera and microphone for 20 minutes or so, talking about these topics that you see listed here. If you find that interesting, you can go watch that. It's essentially just a Q&A. You guys can submit questions on that post or through the YouTube channel or whatever. And then also we have our PCPer Plays, where yesterday, Allyn and Ken got to play some
Burnout Paradise.
Burnout Paradise, yes, over here.
Good game.
A very good game. It was immediately hit with copyright notices because of all the music. We expected that would be the case.
It wasn't playing licensed music, though. It was playing like previous Burnout soundtracks.
Yeah.
Because I was mad it wasn't playing licensed
Yeah,
music.
it didn't play Paradise City the whole time.
Paradise City while we were setting up.
Not while we were setting up, yeah.
Yeah.
Not during the actual...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe just the live one is the one that got flagged for copyright,
Probably.
and not the recorded one that we'll have here. But check that out if you want. All that is at pcper.com/YouTube. Nope. YouTube.com/PCPer. YouTube.com/PCPer. So.
I mean, we could just make a redirect, I guess, but you know.
My browser just locked up.
Sure it didn't.
No, that completely.
Oh, there it goes.
there it goes.
Okay, let's pause that. So let's get on to the content that we have this week. We're going to start with a PFM product.
I mean, it's explainable.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
What laptop is that, Ryan?
Which
That's
one?
in front of you. I'm
This
trying
one
to
here?
make it the silver one.
This is a Lenovo Yoga 900.
Oh,
910.
okay.
Yeah.
910.
I just saw something.
Yeah,
something.
see, it says Yoga up here.
Yoga. It's got the watch band hinge.
It does.
Right?
It does. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. This is the Kaby Lake iteration of it. Actually, I like it a lot. It doesn't get enough exercise because it sits here and it does this, so I can do things like this
I can
to
move
it.
up and down on the thing, yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice machine. So we're going to talk about the Marseille.
Marseille.
Marseille. My God. Have you ever been to France?
There are
Marcel?
other languages other than English, and occasionally they pronounce things in different ways.
Hold on.
At least you didn't say
let me check.
Marseille.
Did they sell it in America?
No.
America.
In central Kentucky, there's a road spelled. There's a city spelled Versailles, and it's pronounced Versailles.
That's Indiana.
Do you also say
No, I mean it's in Kentucky
vaginas?
too. Maybe it's in Indiana as well. But
Vaginas.
vaginas? Okay.
quesadilla. All these things are correct terminology for Americans. Come on, guys. So Marseille. Now I hate this product more. The Marseille mCable.
It comes with the white flag.
Cable? Does that mean you can pick it up at
It's
McDonald's?
mCable. This is a cable that
mCable. Tip of the fedora.
it's French. Yeah. So this is a cable that promises to make your video games look better.
Did you restart your browser?
No. Do you not see it?
Nope, I got a stuck image.
That free.
Oh,
that's where
God.
it froze.
Get it off the screen.
There we go. That's better.
That's where it
Yeah,
froze.
There we go. All right.
There? Okay.
All right.
Continue on.
Marseille mCable, the gaming edition. So this is a thing that promises to remove aliasing
Among
strictly
other
through the
things.
HDMI cable. Yeah, I guess what else is it supposed to do?
Image processing. So I think it was Allyn that posted this link in our company Slack chat a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we all went, well, that seems like that's probably snake oil.
Yep.
Just like those $1,000 plus Audio Quest Diamond HDMI cables, so that your audio going over your HDMI source is as pristine as possible.
Yeah, those I have all those.
We've seen a whole bunch of that bullcrap in the past couple of years. But this actually seemed like it had a chance in hell of doing something because it has a signal processor DSP integrated into the actual cable.
Yep.
So essentially, it is
Go ahead.
a perpetual Vaseline smearing machine.
No,
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what it is.
but it doesn't.
Sweet.
So, so we were doing some
We
testing.
basically. So first of all, how much is this thing?
$150.
So I paid $150 for this cable.
For an
It's
HDMI
expensive.
cable.
By the way, this
You know what PT
You could
Barnum
have just
said?
smeared Vaseline on your screen.
this cable, this
I can do
picture
that for a
doesn't.
buck fifty.
This picture doesn't show the USB power
Yeah, it
cable
does.
that is
Josh,
required.
you don't
Yeah, it
even
does.
need the
Look
buck
at the
50
right
because
side.
it's right there
It's-
next to your desk. Okay.
Not really there. But
Just
Hey,
give
Josh,
me
hold
your
on,
computer
Josh.
for about 20 minutes.
do you have Vaseline within arm's reach of your desk
Of
right
course
now?
he does.
Josh was saying he only needs 20 minutes
Don't
to make
have
your
it.
screen foggy.
I do have alcohol.
That's not
That's to clean
Vaseline.
it
That's
off
the opposite.
afterwards.
That's what
Yeah.
you use after the Vaseline.
So this is what it just looks like a normal HDMI cable. It's directional, obviously. I guess not obviously, but it is directional in that this end goes into the TV and the shorter end. The processing is near the input, not the output
Yeah.
from the device.
No,
It says TV right there.
that's the
output.
There is no input. It's a HDMI cable. There's an output.
Well,
I mean,
if
you have
it's
to
directional,
input data to the cable before it can be output at the other end.
That's not exactly how that works. Data is flowing one way.
Yeah.
yeah, meaning
Out.
it goes in one end and out the other.
Yeah.
God damn
One
it.
way. I mean, like, I don't know what else to say about this.
This is like when you refuse to recognize that a rectangular prism is a thing.
It's
I
no.
no, it
still
can't
don't
be.
like that.
We're like in the
Still seems
first
wrong.
article.
So anyway, we bought this and we decided to test it. And Ken hooked it up to a GTX 1060 system, and we ran some games at 1080p.
And we have the ability to capture
Yeah.
digital output.
So
of
we're not just like
something.
looking at it and telling you. We're
Right.
actually capturing the digital output from these machines, and we can, that's what these screenshots here will show you. Now it's hard if you're watching this live stream, you're not going to get a good.
Honestly, even if
input
you
of this.
scroll through the page, it's hard. Like you basically need to
No, you need to click on the big. If you click on these pictures, you get a bigger version.
you need to click on the big version. But if I was you, I would download those to your PC and then flip through them
flip back
in
and
some kind of pick
Yeah.
viewer app or something, so that you can
So-
really go A/B comparison.
You
on.
guys are the ones that spent the time looking at this, and it seemed like you were more impressed than you thought we would be.
Yeah.
By this,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, it's definitely doing anti-aliasing. I mean, I thought
Where'd it go?
there were some places where I thought that it was kind of getting rid of some of the texture detail,
Sure.
like in Tomb Raider, like on the like
Because
rock
I mean, the
faces
way
and
this
stuff.
is working is it's doing like frame processing,
Yeah,
but it's doing it at essentially no latency as well. Like there's no processing time that occurs.
Right.
So it's not very intelligent about it.
that's true. It has to only work with a very short bit of information that has. Like it doesn't add any latency. And because of that, it's not like it's buffering an entire frame and looking at it after the fact. It basically has to
maybe
look
you
at
should
it.
just restart your machine, Ryan.
Hey Josh, I
Something's
don't need to take
terribly
computing
wrong.
advice from you.
So this cable basically has to look.
Have you tried turning it on and off again?
It has to look at pieces of the image as they're coming across. Not like it can't look at the whole frame at a time.
Sorry.
What the heck was that?
It starts to load the image and then it just hides it, and I have no idea what's going on.
No image for you.
It's 1 pixel in size.
It's a large image, so
Okay.
How's
Nice.
that?
You're really
Can you
gonna,
see the pixelation?
Can we
You're really gonna break that
It's a little
picture.
aliased.
Yeah, it is.
All right,
Anyway, go ahead.
So for example, just looking at that frame, where your mouse is currently,
Wait,
right?
here.
Like the texture of that brick rock face there didn't really change with the cable, but the texture in the background, like a little bit further to your right and a little bit down, like that section where there's the entryway there, that lost some of the detail. So
see.
it's like it's kind of selective on what it goes for, but in the case, like pretty much all the edges were reasonably anti-aliased. Like
So we compared it to FXAA, which is a post.
and SMAA.
Oh,
and
we did
SMAA.
compare it to SMAA.
Yeah, it was SMAA.
Okay, yeah.
FXAA was the one that was really
FXAA is like smearing Vaseline on the screen.
yeah. So
So this cable did a better job than
is the
FXAA.
Yeah, the cable-
sadomasochism
the cable
that it tears
did-
your eyes out.
the cable did a way better job than FXAA. As far as, it was keeping way more detail than FXAA is like super smeary looking.
Yeah.
I don't even understand like why you would choose that after looking at it in comparison.
Okay.
But then the other one was which one?
SM.
SMAA?
Yeah.
Okay. Josh's favorite AA. And that one was a lot closer to what the cable was doing. Maybe a little bit fuzzier than what the cable was doing.
Right. Now, we didn't compare this to MSAA or SSAA.
Right.
We did. I didn't post the SSAA in the article.
Yeah.
I mean, it's clearly superior.
SSAA was clearly superior.
Yeah, that's.
But
I mean,
take
that's
a
the best.
major performance hit.
It's the most performance hit. It's a super sample.
Right.
And even MSAA is better than FXAA and SMAA. Right. Like the multi-sample anti-aliasing is always better.
They
that's the
call
whole
their
point of this.
technique CXAA because, of course, we need another type of AA to.
There's dozens.
But I mean, the whole point of this cable, like the primary point, as far if you were going to plug it into a PC, like even though it's not its main purpose, right. But if you're going to use it on a PC, it is a 0 performance hit,
right?
Anti-aliasing, like literally 0 performance hit, right?
Oh.
No added latency.
You didn't post the other pictures.
I didn't post the other picture. Why didn't
somebody in the
point that
comments
out?
posted.
Somebody
that.
in the comments said that.
I just figured that meant you forgot to save it or something.
Oh
No, I have it.
Oh well, now you got something to
Mr.
update.
Editor, you should have pointed that out.
Okay.
Editor? What are you joking?
We don't need no stinking editors.
But we did try. So okay, since you don't have the picture here, what was the difference like in UT 2004, our favorite game?
It was noticeable.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm gonna click this picture. It's gonna work.
It's
Probably
kind
not.
of difficult without the comparison
yeah, you really need to
to describe.
But I mean, there's diagonal edges that are relatively sharp in that screenshot, like plenty of them, and you would see, pretty
Along
harsh.
the railings, particularly.
Yeah, you would see pretty
these
harsh
are-
jaggies in, just like without any AA, obviously, right? And the cable's, definitely helping.
And then we use a latency tester through this cable, and I guess through a standard cable, right, to compare.
Whose finger is that?
Yeah, someone at the office needs to trim their nails a bit.
Shut up.
That's actually the yellow button that they're seeing there.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. It's Ken with fingernail polish.
Yeah, he actually paints the tip of his nails yellow.
Yes.
Well, you see,
that's
it
what the
makes
cool kids
snorting
do
the
now.
coke that much more interesting.
So we tested it on just the whatever display we had sitting around, and basically proved, Ken, that there was no additional latency to this.
I took a look at this on a couple of different displays, and we saw no additional latency over just a regular run-of-the-mill HDMI cable we pulled off out of the shelf.
So while cool and not snake oil like we might have initially thought, probably not worth $150, right?
Yeah, it seems.
Yeah. This would be cool if you were, for some reason, really into, like... It's odd, because you have to go to, like, Wii, Xbox 360, PS3 games, where you'd still have HDMI, and they wouldn't be very well post-processed, anti-aliasing. So for some reason, you're really into a 360 game or PS3 game, this could be an interesting thing. $150 is a bit difficult to justify.
On a PC, the extra $150 could just get you the next rung up GPU.
Sure, but
You can just do MSAA.
or if you're looking at retro PC games like UT 2004, doesn't have anti-aliasing options. It has no options
Right,
regarding
but you can
that.
force it in on the driver. There's other options for that.
Yeah.
Did you just seriously call UT 2004 retro gaming?
Oh, yeah.
Alex, it's 13 years old.
So,
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's 13 years old. It's quite old. And it's also worth noting that this same company makes versions of this cable that are meant to target like video as well, right? It does. They do other, like they'll do other kinds of like color processing and stuff as well. This one is the gaming edition, kind of meant for aliasing specifically. So it was interesting.
It's a cool product. You probably know if you need it. Like if you're the type of person who buys like a FrameMeister or something like that and just wants to tweak with the visual qualities of old games, you probably want to take a look at it. I really wish you could turn off the processing, because in this case, like if you come across a game where maybe the processing looks really weird, you have to physically switch the HDMI cable. If you unhook power, it doesn't work as a regular HDMI cable, which just doesn't work at all. It's not passing the signal through.
Yeah. At the very least, unplugging USB cable would be nice for it to just.
It'd be cool if there's a way to disable it. It'd be cool if it was just like a female to male dongle that you could put at an end of a cable.
Yeah, that's true too.
So you could use a longer cable if you need to.
Yeah,
It's a very.
I guess they wouldn't do that maybe because they need to have like certain, like it only supports up to a certain length cable, or they want a certain quality to the cable, diamond encrusted or whatever.
you totally respect that, Ryan.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a kind of cool proof of technology. I'd like to see it maybe integrated into some devices if they license out that IP, like maybe integrating it into like a Retron-like device where you're playing retro games.
What if like NVIDIA made a video card and this happened?
NVIDIA made a video card?
That like they had that at the like output of the HDMI, like they just add another discrete chip and it does this on the way out.
I mean, I bet their argument would be that they can do it.
Is there really
compute? But
is there really that much of a performance hit on some of the post-processing AAs that come close to what this cable does?
I don't think. No, I don't. Well,
on PC,
it depends on the game and what AA you're using.
Yeah, I don't know the answer.
Because the ones that are post-processing filters that are not doing multiple renders and multiple scenes slightly pixel shifted or whatever, like if it's just a post-processing filter, it's probably not going to add that much. This cable adds zero legitimately, but
something. But yeah, right.
Yeah. So I mean, if if you were Twitch extreme gamer, whatever, you want like the fastest possible, lowest possible latency, but you still don't want jaggies all over the place, this cable will help.
Do you think like TVs integrate this tech and they just don't know how to, like they don't call it this or something? Do you think maybe that is something that is either happening now?
I think this is a much better version of the same basic technology because processing on TVs always looks like butt.
Yeah.
Like sharpening is always turned up way too high.
Yeah, you can turn
this does a level of sharpening, but it isn't overdone.
Right.
And it looks good.
Yeah, you don't get any fringing at all.
Yeah.
No extra sharpened edges.
It was a processed image that actually looked good.
Yeah.
It's kind of the end all here.
Interesting.
I also just updated the article so it has the UT. So whenever people go to view the article, it has the proper comparison.
All right, so that's the Marseille mCable Gaming Edition or the Marseille mCable Gaming Edition, depending on who you ask.
Yeah, the impression I got just from looking at the screenshots was it was as if you did like a bicubic resize to a picture. Like that kind of
just like a photo filter.
Well, if you were reducing the size of a picture by, half the number of pixels, right? Like there's different ways to do it, right? You could do pixel resize, which you would get crazy jagged edges and stuff, right? You could do like bicubic is one of the methods where it does sort of like an averaging, so you wouldn't get jagged edges and sharp edges like that. It's almost that kind of an effect, except you're not resizing the picture. It just does that effect.
Fair enough. Let's move on to the next story here. This is the, it's the review of the Core i9 7980 Extreme Edition and 7960X. These are...
Yeah, I didn't read it.
What does the X stand for?
It's
Extreme
Edition.
The
XE is Extreme Edition. The X, I think, was just...
Extreme?
X.
Exceptional.
But didn't the X used to stand for Extreme Edition?
Yeah.
No, it stands for Xavier.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
So this is going to be short into the point, guys. So we've already looked at the 7900X, so we know what this architecture is. This is the 7960, 7980, the 16 core and the 18 core variants. You can see the clock speeds listed there, 2.6 and 2.8 gigahertz base, 4.2 gigahertz turbo boost 2.0, 4.4 gigahertz turbo boost 3.0. You can see the cache sizes, PCIe lanes, all that type of stuff. Obviously, one of the most important things here is the price, because these are very expensive CPUs, $1,999 for the 7980 and $1,699 for the 7960. So if you compare them to the Threadripper parts over here on this side, you've got the 1950X, which is AMD's 16-core part for $999 compared to $1,699 for the 16-core part from Intel. And then $300 more if you want to get the 18 core. So clearly these are priced higher than Threadripper, right?
Yep.
But like we knew this was going to be the case for a long time ago. Intel announced these prices well before any of these processors actually showed up on our doorstep to test, right? So should not be a surprise in any of that regard. So same feature sets, additions, AVX 512, the new cache hierarchy, new mesh architecture interconnect. All this stuff has been previously tested. Turbo Boost Max 3.0 improved, speed shift, all that deal. The X299 platform still the key to this. So if we look at performance metrics, two categories essentially, right? You've got your single-threaded / lightly threaded and your multi-threaded. In workloads like Sysmark, which are what I would consider lightly threaded, they have multiple workloads. Some of them are higher threaded than others. These processors do very well because of the Intel architecture and design. The CPU clock speed is actually pretty high in single threaded, like up to 4.4 gigahertz, which is, I think, is that the same? Actually, I've got my cheat sheet right here. That's only 100 megahertz less than the 7900X, right? So in theory, your single threaded performance on the 18 core should not be significantly less than the 10 core part, which is actually pretty awesome and not what we're used to seeing for multi-core performance in generations previous, right? This is all the advent of the turbo boost stuff. So let me go through. Let's see what makes sense to show first. Let's just go to the media encoding side and show a couple of results. Okay.
Take a look at the Slack. This is something you're going to enjoy.
I did see that picture. Yes.
Oh, damn it.
Louisville. Yeah. The bracket. Yeah. No, I saw that. That's still good.
Oh.
Still funny. Still funny. But hey,
sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
It was really funny.
Yeah. Okay.
Made me laugh.
So Audacity is a very single-threaded workload. MP3 encoding, it still happens. Like, this is still a workload that gets used when you do a video edit in an encode. You're doing an audio encode along with the video encode, like as a separate task. So interesting to look at these types of numbers. Single-threaded performance doesn't really vary a whole lot from the 7980XE through like the Ryzen 7 1700. Right, and if you kind of look at the 7900X, this is a lower is better, by the way, because this is in seconds. We're all kind of in the same range here with the 7700K. So it's actually a good score. The Threadrippers are behind, but not dramatically so. Then we started to look at multi-threaded stuff like Handbrake. Handbrake is surprisingly, it doesn't scale with core count as much as we would have thought.
Yeah, I think it just kind of tops out at a certain number of threads.
I mean, because we do see an improvement going from 10 core at 261 seconds for that file to the 18 core, but it only goes down to 218, right? So it's not a significant drop for the amount of cores you're adding or the amount of cost.
Yeah, I think it just tops out at 16, which kind of makes sense with what those numbers are doing, right? Like, the 18 just didn't do any better.
These are essentially matched. Yeah.
Yeah.
X265. So the pass 1 is kind of a sparse workload. Pass 2 is the more heavy multi-threaded workload. And here you can kind of see how this stair step pretty much works. But again, we see the 16 and 18 core pretty much on par with each other. Threadrippers a little bit stepped down. The 1950X is still very competitive in a lot of these tests, which is interesting to see. Here's our Cinebench test, kind of the staple of CPU testing these days. Single-threaded, you can see with the scores of 191, both of those high core count Skylake-X parts, they match essentially the 7900X. They match or get close to the 7700K, which has been the darling of the single or lightly threaded workloads. And they're still, significantly ahead of what Threadripper and what AMD is able to do with Ryzen because of those IPC improvements or IPC differences that we have seen many times. And then for the multi-threaded, this is where you start to see the easy scaling across the board, right? So
EZ.
Yeah.
You know who EZ is?
Easy.
It's the sister of ET. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
ET's sister, EZ.
I get it. No, I got it. I'm with you.
I'm still not laughing.
It's an 80s joke, man. 80s.
How about he likes Skittles? No, it's Reese Pieces. Which one did it actually end up being in the movie?
Reese's Pieces.
Okay, because I think Skittles didn't want to be in it. Look it up.
It's their bad.
Anyway.
Yeah. PowerVR basically scales the same way as the Cinebench multi-threaded. So you can start to see where these benefits, where these high core count benefits will start to count, like Blender workloads. We're seeing differences there. In general, performance in multi-threaded workloads is probably 10 to 12% faster from the 1950X, the highest core count Threadripper, to the 7980XE, the highest core count Intel part. Single-threaded is actually closer to like 30% difference. So,
I mean, the highest core count Intel part has 2 more cores, though. Right?
Dude, fix your stuff.
Say again.
The highest core count Intel part has 2 more cores, though.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. To get that 10%. Yeah. We looked at gaming performance. Nothing magical here. It's pretty much, it's like a little bit slower than 7700K, but it's a little bit faster than the Threadripper. Actually, like Hitman and Rise of the Tomb Raider, it's you know, these Skylake-X parts are noticeably faster. But again, we're looking at 1080p because we were just focusing on the differences where we thought we would see them. So not a big deal there, and that's everything we've expected. Now, what is interesting is power consumption. The 16 and 18 core parts essentially match the power consumption of the Threadripper processors, which is fine, right? It's not a huge deal, except I believe the Threadripper processors were listed as a 180 watt TDP, and these are technically listed at 165 watt TDP. We can have a discussion about what the difference of TDP versus power draw is. Yeah, everybody's lying at this point.
Liars that lie.
Yeah, they are all that. What I will say is the 10 core drew 238, and we're only adding 40 watts to get 18 cores. So that's actually pretty impressive. Yeah. But what's maybe more impressive is the overclocking. So first of all, let's talk about the performance metrics. Let me skip down here. We were able to get this guy to 4.3 gigahertz on all 18 cores, which is actually pretty good at 1.2 volts. And you can see the performance gap that this creates for you, right? Like our Cinebench score goes up from 3,300 to 4,200.
People have actually got this thing to like 4.7.
Yeah, well, we've got a story on here that somebody got it to 6.1, but Allyn.
Yeah, this was just like with a water block on it.
But notice like the difference in the Threadripper, the max overclock we were able to get, 3,000 to 3,300 versus 3,300 to 4,200.
Yeah,
right. That's a pretty big jump, right? And we saw that on the 3 workloads, 25 to 27% faster than stock settings when overclocked. That's a significant difference.
Yeah.
And it makes it 40% faster than the Threadripper at stock and 25% faster than Threadripper we had when we had overclocked it. Right. So in terms of that, but
there's a big but.
There is this here. So this 274 is power consumption at stock. This 553.
Yeah, you're reading that number correctly.
So this is not CPU power draw. This is system power draw.
Sure.
So keep that in mind. However, if we assume at 274, we're running at around, let's say we're running at 165 watts, right? The TDP of the part, let's just say 180. Give them a little bit of a wiggle room here. They're running at 180.
Sure.
So that leaves.
So take 100 off of that.
So take 100 off of that. So maybe the processor's drawing 174 watts. The rest of the system's doing 100.
Now take 100 off of that 553.
Yeah. Now you're saying you're pushing 450 watts through this processor. And I say
and it's
this,
such a tiny wee thing.
It's small. It's
now you know what all those VCC and ground pins are for.
Yes,
package.
But it's the second biggest processor.
Yeah, and it's the second biggest die that Intel's ever made. But I will say this: like, it was never not stable, right? When I did the auto overclocking with the Asus, like literally the overclocking that I did on this was I went into the BIOS, I went to the multiplier, I changed it from auto to 43.
Yep.
And the Asus BIOS handled everything else. Now it was running very hot in that case. Like we were seeing temperatures approaching 100 C.
Wasn't it drawing even more than that?
And it was drawing more than that, probably like 30 or 40 watts more.
Yeah.
And so
like
I
say something real quick. I know that there's rarely things that I ask that are real quick
or real useful.
And this one is proving to be the same.
Yeah. Did you put in 2 Vega FEs on this as well and see what happened?
You're right. Should have the liquid cooled ones. I've got 2 of them. We should have done that. I think that my building would have burned down.
You could probably set a record for a computer with a single socket CPU and a single GPU installed.
Yeah,
with that combination.
And the motherboard we're using only has an 8-pin and a 4-pin, not 2 8-pins.
Yeah, so
you did have to point a fan at the VRMs.
Well,
point
so
that out.
I wouldn't say I had to. I would say that Asus called me and said, "Hey, if you're going to overclock this, we know we sent you the deluxe board, not one of the ROG boards. The ROG boards have active cooling on the power delivery. Yeah. The deluxe does not. So he said, if you just want to point a case fan at it, that would be great. So I did that, and I eventually I brought the voltage down to 1.2 volts, and our temperatures were like in the low to mid 80s. I think like they weren't obnoxious temperatures, and this is with a 240 millimeter rad. Whereas with the Threadripper, we're using a 360 millimeter radiator. So I'm actually kind of impressed that it all worked and was very stable, and it ran for, multiple hours like this and whatever. I wouldn't run my system like this continuously because I enjoy having components live
live.
Just having them
And
live.
stuff not
fry.
being really loud.
Yeah, and it was loud for sure. But like you basically have the highest core count processor that exists, and then you add 25 to 27% more performance on top of that. Like if you have a need for that,
Yeah.
you can justify that.
And
right?
I mean, you can get still a decent percentage gain and probably not have to crank the
I don't see
voltage
the
up
fun in that
high.
really, but yeah.
Well, you know.
I understand. Now, obviously, in terms of performance per dollar, these processors are not great.
Right.
So single-threaded, they're not awful, right? But if you look at multi-threaded, there we go. The Threadripper processors are still going to dominate this field because
And they dominate by a
they're
lot.
like 10, let's say 10 to 15% slower. But the 1950X is half of the price of the 7980XE.
Yeah.
So that's a significant difference, right? So my conclusion to this review is essentially that if you are a person who is reading this and listening to us who wants the best performance, but is also cognizant of the idea of performance per dollar, then you probably want a Threadripper part.
Yeah.
However, if you're a guy who's just like, I don't care, I just want the fastest thing. Even if it's 10% faster for 75% more money.
It depends on fastest thing at what though.
But it's faster at everything. Almost.
It's faster at single.
It's faster at single-threaded by
multi-threaded
30-something%, but then in multi-threaded, it's like 10%.
I'm talking even the fewer core count Intel CPUs.
Yeah.
Like there are, you know.
There's 18, 16, 14, 12, 10. 8, 6. Like you can get core counts on all those.
Okay, but you're limiting yourself to the X99 or the, you know, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you want really fast single-threaded crap, don't buy this part.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Regardless,
a 7700K still walks all over these. Like
No, it doesn't walk all over them. This
you
is
can overclock
at
it
or
further.
above. Yeah, I mean, you
can
can
hit
maybe get
5.
4 point. Yeah, you could. But I'm just not. Again, somebody who's buying this is
yeah, they probably want more than just 4 cores.
like the idea is you have to have a need for a lot of cores if you're buying an 18-core processor.
Sure.
Now, when you get to that position, I want the Threadripper 16 or the Intel 18, right? If you're a guy who's just like, I don't really care about the money side of it, get me the best, this is that part, right? So Intel did their job of reclaiming the performance crown that they had lost to AMD, which they were not happy at all.
But it is twice the
about
cost.
doing. But it is an expensive part.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. And it's look at this picture, and I look at this and I think, oh, that's one of those socket 11 LGA 1150. Oh wait, no. This is the LGA 1150 part.
I'm gonna start ripping off BGA packages for the next photo like this.
This giant thing, I forgot. You forget how enormous it is by comparison to these other consumer platforms. So
Pretty big.
that's the
What is
review.
Ryzen? It's 938 or 945. I can't remember.
What's the question?
AM4.
How many
How many pins?
how many pins?
I don't know. The last pin number I can remember from AMD is 939.
Boy, that's a long time ago.
I
Well,
bought
and then
into
it went
that
to
socket
940,
thinking
right?
would
Like
be
it didn't change
future-proof.
very much.
That wasn't a good idea.
No, it's always been 900 and some odd.
Yeah. All right. So before we get, oh wait, hold on. I do want to mention this because we talked about it real quickly. There was, who did this overclocking? Jeremy, do you happen to know?
How did I forget this?
It was Dale Bauer.
The Bauer.
AM4
Yeah,
is
it was DeBauer.
1331
Like-
pins.
Oh yeah, that's right. They did make it the cool number.
Oh,
Just
they were
like
613.
Threadripper, they
31.
made it 4094 instead of 4096. What are they doing over there?
Not very much. Not very much. So, Jeremy, what is this? So somebody got this 18-core part to 6.1 gigahertz.
Yeah, then this someone being one of the best overclockers going on the planet right now. Dear Bauer.
Well, thank
He's impressive. So yeah, with a little LN2, some good thermal paste, 6.1 gigahertz on every single core, with the system drawing up to 1,000 watts off of the wall at 83 amps on the 12-volt rail, with the CPU being the vast majority of that. So if you thought your power draw was high,
I did. I mean, I
Yeah,
still
well,
do,
guess
but yeah.
This was also delitted and relitted.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What was
Well, and
his
you don't keep
what was his
LN2 around.
Cinebench score? 5635.
Good
Ours was
Lord.
4400. He got another 1200 points over
They got
that.
their 7900X out of it.
1200 is like it's another 10-core processor worth of performance.
So he basically got like a 50% overclock compared to your 20% overclock.
Yes. And then he stuck a Titan XP in there and managed to blow through 3 single-card world records. 45,705 in 3D Mark 11, 35,782 in Fire Strike, and 120,425 in 3D Mark Vantage.
I guess, yeah, physics score really does bump up your average.
Yeah, I feel like it might be a little weighted unfairly at that point. Like I don't think your actual game performance would increase by that proportional
the
amount.
XP was at 2.4 gigahertz as well.
Yeah.
It's not like
And
he
so
left
essentially
it
he's
stopped.
delidded it, he slathers heat paste all over it, and then sticks the LN2 container on top of that.
Yeah.
He even attempted to mill out the middle of the IHS to achieve a balance between direct die cooling and using the IHS to prevent bending. That's awesome.
Wow.
His videos
But unfortunately,
are really
once it hit about a negative
They are.
110 Celsius, it started to crap out on him, so
Oh,
he couldn't really
cold
get
bug.
far enough.
I was hitting
cold
110
bug
Celsius the other
negative
direction.
110.
Oh, that's interesting stuff. Before we get to our next story, we had a Patreon edit from $1 to $3.99 from David Cameron.
$3.99.
Do you see David
The
Cameron?
XPM of
Oh, shit.
I
How
assume
do they
Okay,
spell it?
Dave
Are we
Cameron.
talking about the idiot stick from overseas?
well, we
The
can't call him that. He
XPM
just donated money
from
to
England.
us. Yeah,
Yeah, he's not an ex-idiot.
he's a big
current idiot.
Yeah, well,
fan. Fair. There was
he's got competition nowadays.
Thank you very much, David, for the bump up there.
Enjoy the pig.
There was another Intel
If you don't know,
announcement.
you don't want to.
Yeah, there was another Intel announcement about the 8th Gen Core Coffee Lake news. So what's interesting about this is that this processor, like we can't talk about performance yet. We have it here, we've run over all numbers, all that crap, but we can't talk about performance, but somebody leaked out all the slides, so as a result, we got to tell you about all the information on the slides several hours after the person who had leaked all the information on the slides got to tell you about that information. Whatever, I'm over it, I don't give a crap. Here's what you need to know. It's Coffee Lake S. It does require a Z370 chipset. Only Coffee Lake S will work on Z370 chipsets.
Coffee Lake S?
That's just, it's Coffee Lake S. It's the S is like the desktop
Okay.
parts, right?
I just don't remember ever hearing an S after
We usually omit that one, and everything else has its like.
Okay.
Usually, just Kaby Lake by default is the consumer variant, and you go U, Y,
Sure.
you know, all that stuff. So for Coffee Lake, it's essentially the same structure, the same architecture, same graphics. It's just different core counts and a new chipset. Now, Intel claims that they needed the new chipset because the move to 6-core processors changed how they have to do power delivery to these systems, and thus the new motherboards were required, right? And I know there's a lot of complaints about this, the fact that if you have a Z270, you can't put one of these Coffee Lake systems in there, and or you can't, I don't know why you would.
If you have
but
a 370 board, you can.
You can't put a Kaby Lake part in it, which
But what about a
is less
Z170 board? Because I've got a couple of those.
probably not. I mean, you should try it,
okay,
Josh,
fine.
and see what happens.
Is it actually?
I should.
Is it actually physically keyed differently? Supposedly.
No.
No.
I'm pretty sure it's not. It's still 1151.
Yeah, but they could
have different
they could key
variations
the
of it.
PCB part off differently. I don't know. I mean, we can try it.
Substrates in May.
We can try it and see. You know,
I'm just curious to know, like, because then it could entirely be like you could physically put it on a Z270 board and like.
Sure.
And people will do it.
There's been a ton of complaints about this, and I totally understand. Like, it sucks because it feels like. I mean, when was the Z270 chipset even launched? January? Was it that recently?
Yeah, it was very recent.
Yeah, it's less than a year.
Yeah.
Right. And so now we've got this new motherboard in order to get this new family of processors. And there's even a question, there's rumors going around, and Intel hasn't confirmed any of this stuff, about like there being another Z300 series chipset for the next generation of parts.
What?
With the theory of an 8-core processor is also in that rumor.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So I understand, like, there's a lot of chipset fatigue in this, and there's literally no differences in this chipset. Like, the chipset
you're not getting anything
functionality,
extra.
there's nothing changing. You're just basically getting support for this other family of parts. So there you go.
Don't accidentally buy an X370 board.
It just really baffles me by the argument being only that the power, like the power delivery thing being the argument, like because there's plenty of like overclocking, like 270 boards
yes,
with
but they can't
crazy
say it works with Z270 boards, and then you'll pick the lowest end board, and they release a firmware update for it, and you fry your board.
Right. Like,
I mean, I guess
they don't want to leave it up to the motherboard manufacturers to have to qualify every single board with the 6-core CPU.
Yeah, it has to be whatever their minimum spec was before. They don't want to, go through that. So here are the parts that are going to come out. We got the 8700K, which is the most impressive part, $359. So
it's the price of the 7700K.
It's like $20 more than it's
something like that.
Part,
but
it's close enough. It's 6 cores, 12 threads, 95 watt TDP. It has a 3.7 base and a 4.7 turbo clock.
4.7.
That's nice.
So it's 200 megahertz faster than the 7700K, and you get 50% more cores at the same time.
You could probably very easily you could probably very easily just hit 5 on that.
Oh, yeah, easily.
I mean, you're barely going over. It's
right.
It's out of the box.
Right. Well, I mean, that's 4.7 for one core.
Sure.
But yeah.
But,
so is this one of the 14 nanometer plus parts?
Plus, I believe.
Oh,
plus. So yeah, they actually increase the gate.
Double plus good.
I mean, so not only are the clocks
gate pitch, so there's less leakage and better transistor switching.
So for 20 more bucks,
that's what they say.
20 more bucks, you're getting not only faster clocks by a little bit, but 2 more cores.
Yeah, 4 more threads. Right, like it's a significant difference. And then they have the 8700 non-K, which is 500 megahertz lower base, 100 megahertz lower boost, 612. 303, no overclocking. You've got the Core i5 8600, which is a 6-core 6-thread. And then you've got the 8400, which is an interesting part. It's a Core i5 8400. It's a 2.8 base, which is significantly lower, but a 4 gigahertz boost still, 6-core 6-thread, 65 watt TDP, $182. So you're getting a 6-core part for $182. That if you think about it, from a theoretical standpoint, totally not tested or validated, like 6 true cores versus a quad-core hyper-threaded part, you're going to see a lot of instances where 6 true cores matches or beats quad-core hyper-threaded.
If you think of, traditionally we think of hyper-threading as, what, 5% of a hit?
Well, it depends on what it's doing.
Of a hit?
Yeah.
You mean of a game?
No. I mean, if, like... A hyper-threaded, like if you have hyper-threading turned on,
I would say,
and you're running a
1-core versus
thing.
1-core hyper-threaded, you're probably looking at 70% performance improvement in a perfect environment, right? Like 70 to 80%.
So basically, the second thread is 80, only
from what I've seen.
Would you say?
So do you remember?
Yeah. But anyway, hold on, let me finish this. So what's interesting is Core i5s, 6-core. There's Core i3s are now quad-core, no hyper-threading. So the only parts that have hyper-threading now are the Core i7s. So now you've got 6 cores and 4 cores with no hyper-threading as you go down the line. So it's an interesting switch of things, and I'll be curious to see how this puts it. Like, how does that 6-core 12-thread compare to the 8-core 16-thread Ryzen 7 family? Josh, go ahead.
Do you remember when core counts of non-power of 2 were not cool?
Like the Phenom X3?
Yeah, or
the Phenom X3 was never cool.
6-core.
When you say not cool, are you being like like making a joke, or is it like talking about like software issues? I was making a joke
because Intel always said, well, you always have these odd numbers and non-power of 2. It just doesn't work out and scale well. Just like that.
Well, I don't remember those lines exactly coming from Paul Otolini or whoever. But
not Paul, but other guys.
I don't know. I'm actually kind of excited about these parts. I'd be way more excited about these parts if you could use them on Z270 motherboards that everybody already had.
As someone who's bought a Z270 motherboard in the past 6 months, that'd be nice.
And I will fully admit now that up until fairly recently, my understanding from other people was that they would work on Z270. And I think they were trying to, but maybe they must have hit some validation issues where they found some 270 boards where there were problems.
Maybe some motherboard manufacturer will be a rogue and just release an EFI update that makes it work.
If it's not keyed out. Yeah. If it's not keyed out. So there you go. We'll know more on October 5th. We'll be able to tell you about the review for that and the performance and all that good stuff, I guess. So check that out. Patreon update. You'll have to speak up. I'm wearing a towel. Is a new pledge of $4.
Picks or shens.
$4.99. Thank you very much.
$4.99.
Mr. You'll have to speak up. I'm wearing a towel. That's good. That's good. All right.
So,
go ahead.
Brian, one thing.
Yeah.
What does your shirt say? I see I'm so something.
It says I'm so fly, and it's got Peter Pan on it.
Oh. Okay. I didn't see the fly. I didn't know. I just saw I'm so something.
Yeah, I'm so fly.
You are fly for a white guy.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
How fly?
From a white guy.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. So because of all this information started leaking out about, or not leaking, but was Intel told us on a Sunday night, hey, by the way, feel free to write about this product that we told you weren't going to write about until the 5th.
That was so nice of them.
It was very nice of them on a Sunday night. We started to see releases of motherboards now too. So like the Gigabyte, like all the Asus and Gigabyte and MSI boards are starting to come out. Gigabyte
Are they all the exact same as the 270 board? Just
Not the exact same.
Not the exact same, but yes.
They
right?
generally
They're
probably
new,
should
like
be.
tertiary features. We'll say.
Yeah.
That's secondary, tertiary.
You know, this one has 60 amps per power phase, 10K ultra durable black caps. I don't know if they already had that, to be fair.
Probably.
I think this is a new one.
Is it?
Forget what the fancy name that they
It
used
looked
for
okay.
it was.
Like I like that picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And SmartFan 5 means that in that big stand-up thing by the back shield, there's a fan in there.
Okay.
There's a fan blowing on your PWMs.
Yeah, as long as it's not annoying like Ken's sound, I mean.
Well, it's controllable, so you can turn it down when it doesn't need to be there.
What Asus board did we have that had that issue? Was it an Asus board?
I mean, the tough boards have always had one, and they've never actually
No, we had
been
one
too
recently
There's
where
one on the
like
storage test bed.
the PWM was broken and they fixed it. Well, I think it was the X370 board, wasn't it?
No.
The Ryzen board, or was it the Threadripper board or something we had first? I don't know. It was loud.
The Threadripper board.
It was the first Threadripper board.
It was
we had.
the Zenith.
It's like a 40 millimeter fan.
It wasn't properly mapping to the right temperature, so you had to go to the BIOS and change it. Yeah. Anyway, anything else stand out on these, Jeremy?
They got R's, G's, and B's, and variety of flavors.
Hell yeah, they do.
Oh, you got it. You know it.
It's interesting
apart
to
from
see
that,
how
there was very little info. Like we know a couple of the features, but we don't really know what new.
Look at all those
do.
photons emanating from the RGBs.
If that's what those are,
blast your eyes.
Yeah.
My motherboard's so bright I gotta wear shades.
Probably we won't have it. Well, whatever. By the time next week's podcast rolls around, we'll have. I think will it be the 5th or not? Oh, the 5th is a
Simple
Thursday. It's disappointing.
No.
All right, let's talk about. Oh wait, what else do we have on here? There's more stuff. Kaby Lake is incompatible with the Z370 chipsets. It's not apparently anymore. It is. Although, there is a kid drowning in chocolate.
Yeah.
Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
She deserved it.
She did.
Wait, dumb kids. Who?
She was Veruca Salt, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or was she? Was Veruca the blueberry girl?
Yeah, that was the blueberry girl.
Oh,
No.
okay.
That was this one. That
That
was
was
like
like
the
the fat
German
kid,
kid,
right?
That was the fat Swedish kid or
The
whatever.
fat German.
One of those.
Whatever. So yeah, there's that. Okay. Moving away from Intel high core count processors, whatever. AMD released a driver that enabled RX Vega multi GPU support. Isn't that right, Jeremy?
This is absolutely true.
I hate
Relive 17.9.2.
I think I hate the mGPU moniker.
Isn't it Relive?
It is Relive.
Okay.
Everybody uses the mGPU now, including AMD and NVIDIA. But every time I see mGPU, I think mobile GPU.
Yeah, Vega isn't particularly a mobile form factor.
No, definitely not mobile. Unless you want your laptop to last 3 minutes on the battery.
Really, I see it as 1000 GPU.
Fair. Anything
1,000th of a GPU?
Anything interesting stand out, Jeremy?
Well, depending on how they did the benchmarks here, the scaling is pretty nice. It's well up around the 90% level.
It's almost too nice to believe.
You gotta like that.
All right. Well, I don't know what this test says about us, that we had this driver and then we have like 4 Vegas and I just have very little interest.
It's also very little time.
I know. I know we've been really busy, but it's just like,
oh, come on, you want to do it.
I know. No, I do.
Nobody got time for that.
We did test Crossfire with the FEs when you could still enable it with that driver. And
that's true. Then they just didn't enable it with the Radeon drivers, right? Yeah.
Well, you get a whole bunch of new benchmarks to run.
I think I also saw today that they confirmed they were no longer going to allow like 3- and 4-way Crossfire.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Yeah.
No. 2-way.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Following NVIDIA's
I can't blame them for not wanting to have to deal with the support nightmare for that.
I hope all the people that bitched at NVIDIA for doing it also bitch for AMD doing it. And I'm with you. Like, I agree. I get it. Like, fine, do whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
Also,
and from the notes that I read also, you've got to match your cards. You cannot mix and match a 64 and a 56. Not that that's a good idea to begin with.
I mean, that's
but
normal.
You flat out can't do it.
Okay.
Now, wasn't the case with even with NVIDIA currently, can't you still do like your whatever?
You can do like 3D Mark benchmarking. Right. So if DeBauer wanted to,
there's a whitelist.
Do that stuff. There's a whitelist of applications that they work with.
So, I mean, maybe AMD will do the same thing, probably.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Because they're not going to want to give up that particular performance crown thing, I would guess.
Well, they don't have it, so they don't have giving it up, but they might want to have it again in the future. Right. So yes, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So does that also apply to Vulkan?
No. So here's the thing. So they don't support SLI or Crossfire above 2 cards. However, if DirectX 12 and Vulkan and those game engines have
they're coded for it.
It's multi-GPU support, but I forget, is it implicit or explicit? I think it's
the one where it talks to each GPU individually.
So if the game engine integrates explicit multi-GPU where it handles all the load balancing, then it can do whatever it wants because it just sees the GPU as a processor.
Yeah, it just sees sees individual GPUs.
The Crossfire, which they don't even really call it anymore, which is just blows my mind. And SLI stuff is that like the driver-based implicit multi-GPU. I don't know which one it is. I think I'm getting these backwards now.
Right.
Yeah, implicit,
where the driver handles all the work ahead of time and basically presents one processing thing to the game. Those are the ones that are being limited.
Okay.
And in reality, like DX12 and Vulkan games really didn't support those anyway, so this is more of a legacy thing anyway, even though games are still coming out in DX11 and all that. But,
In other Vega news this week, there's also I will say semi-confirmed statement that I think WCCF Tech got from GIGABYTE that said they are not producing custom Vega cards.
Yeah, so there's been info coming out about like it being difficult to have custom cards for Vega 64 RX Vega,
and MSI said they aren't releasing one anytime soon.
Well, I mean, we have one right there, but like. That's an ASUS card. And basically remember all the story about different packaging of the RX Vega GPUs where some of them were offset.
That's what the problem is?
Apparently that's the issue. And so maybe somebody, GIGABYTE is maybe lower volume than somebody like ASUS, and they're like, we don't really feel like going through this tooling process to deal with
demand
what
could also be a bit of an issue.
Right. And demand may be a problem, and availability of products might be a problem, or it may just be that, ASUS has the inventory and the ability to go to AMD and say, we only want this one type because we're going to make our chips out of it, and everybody else has to fight over the other stuff. So, but GIGABYTE kind of unofficially confirming that they were not going to make custom RX Vega 64 cards for the life of the RX Vega 64 card. Like I think MSI said, we're probably going to do them, but we don't know if it's going to happen this year, right? And ASUS already has theirs, but GIGABYTE was just like, Nope. But if you're Sapphire or Power Color or
This is all you got.
XFX, those guys
You're probably just definitely not
like
gonna
your
do it.
only Radeon, you have no choice.
I guess
You must deal with these problems because
then you have to make 2 different versions of your heatsink
or
some.
3. There were like 3 different variants of those packaging, right? And so hopefully AMD's helping them out with that by putting them in sections or dividing up like, hey, you plan for these, you plan for these. I don't know what it is.
The
but
chat is also speculating that a lot of the demand stuff could be due to Apple said that the Vega will be in every iMac Pro shipping starting December. So AMD could very well be putting aside a large allotment of GPUs and sending them to Apple's way.
I would like to know.
That means even Apple's going to have the headache of trying to.
I bet Apple's not going to have that headache. I bet Apple's only going to get one package.
You're only going to get one version.
Sure. I would like to know what the volume of
Apple
that is
doesn't
versus
get
the volume of
headaches.
discrete GPUs. Like,
Sure.
I don't know.
They get Jim Keller.
I have a secret message
You know
here
what?
that says availability from AMD is the primary issue.
That's because
You know what makes me sad?
Like it has to, right?
Well, or that they're just not making them.
I mean, HBM2 is kind of short, but
Again, I will reiterate that there's a chance that they're not making them because they don't want to make them.
they don't want to sell them for the price they have to sell them for.
Yeah.
Okay, so the worst part about this,
Yeah.
the Crossfire branding.
It's gone.
Yeah.
I know. It was great.
Yeah.
Oh, gone. Oh, but it's okay, Josh. Ruby's back.
I will miss
By
Crossfire.
the way, this was in arm's reach.
I do. What was the game was called? Crossfire, right? It was like the commercials. Crossfire.
Oh.
And there's like the little game where you had the gun shooting the metal balls across thing. You're trying to move like a spinny widget across the other side. Yeah, it's good stuff.
A fidget spinner?
Essentially, yes. Essentially, it was a fidget.
It's probably that game's fault.
Also, a secret message: firmware lock on both sides and on the chipset. So, no, you won't be able to get your Z370 or your Coffee Lake to work in a Z270.
Ah, they got smart.
Or vice versa.
Well, firmware lock is up to the motherboard.
Not if the
maker.
CPU microcode has it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the firmware they're talking about.
I don't know, whatever.
Know what I mean?
So anyway, there you go. Secret messages. That's why I do things live, everybody. It's amazing.
Secret message.
We got a couple other quick ones we can run through here. Plex is adding an update. This is interesting. So we use Plex for media server here. We're using Plex for a cord cutting series and live TV.
Lots of copies of Big Buck Bunny on our Plug server.
Tons of copies of all different resolutions and bit rates and Linux distros. What else do you put legally on a Plex server?
Keep it together, Alan.
Well, see,
You can do it.
Public access TV.
Public access TV.
Yeah.
Is that? Can you record and distribute public access TV even legally?
Sure,
I don't know
why
if you can.
Yeah.
But no, it is completely legal for us to record over the air stuff and store it on our Plex server.
Yeah.
Right? We just basically record everything all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, they announced something called Plex News, which is this interesting thing that is it's a live channel that is created on demand from clips from other networks.
Huh.
Right. So CNN, who does he list here? CNN and CNET, right? They have, news channels, CBS, KTLA, some local guys. And basically what it does is you tell them what kind of news you want, or you just kind of go with the default. And you get up in the morning and you start your Plex server and you go to this My News channel, and it basically runs through these clips that it's gathered from all these places. Now it is an opt-in from these content providers, right? So it's ad supported. So every third clip or fifth clip or whatever it is, I don't really know. There will be an ad that gets intercut between it. But then, like, as you're watching it, if you don't like that channel, you don't want to see any more of that topic, you can hit a button and go back and say no more of this channel, and then the next day when you get it, it won't include that in your feed. It's an interesting idea. I haven't tried it myself yet. Jim wrote this news story up. It is part of Plex's drive to be legitimized, right? In terms of they want to be a content aggregator and not just like a content storehouse. Mm-hmm. Right, which is good for them.
It's the first Plex,
But totally not Pirate Bay.
Correct.
It's the first Plex feature where you don't have to have a Plex server.
True. Yeah,
don't have to have
it
the
doesn't
server side
store the
running.
content locally on a Plex server.
You just stream it right straight from them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the only thing you can do if you don't have the server application running on some machine.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, can you still watch live TV if you don't have a Plex server? No?
The TV tuner is plugged into the server.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So it's an interesting idea. I'm actually curious to try it out. Like, again, our cord cutting series will be using a Plex server, so it'll be part of my TV going forward. So I'm curious to give it a shot and see if I find it useful. I don't know. Good for them.
Dude. Hugh Hefner just died.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh.
Aww.
91 years old.
This year has sucked.
I mean,
For that.
it was
There've been
91.
lots
I don't see it on my
I mean,
Twitter.
You know.
Gosh, did you just get fake news?
Did you see that?
It could
Josh,
be
is
fake
he in your
news,
back room?
It's not funny.
Sad.
Wikipedia hasn't changed it yet.
Breaking. CNBC is
All right,
reporting that
well,
Hugh
we'll
Hefner.
see.
No, CNBC is reporting Hugh Hefner has died at the age of
Fake
91.
news.
Yeah.
Probably with a smile on his face.
I mean, people who are 91 years
Probably.
old tend to die.
This is true. At any point, somebody who's 91 could die,
Yeah.
regardless of who they are.
Anyone,
or if they're
I,
famous
I
or
don't
not.
think the age even matters.
yeah, anyone at
Actually.
any time can die.
No, I'm pretty
But
sure
your
at
odds
like,
get worse and worse
Oh,
as you get older.
at like 38, nobody dies.
You don't want to include your age?
I'm not 38. I'm just saying. I'm just picking a number
okay.
randomly. Let's talk about this. I don't really have much to say about it. Imagination, a company who has recently sold off parts of it to a Chinese company and used to be the graphics provider for Apple chips and is no longer. They're trying to find their place in the world. They announced the PowerVR 2NXNNA, which sounds like a wrestling brand.
It's a very clever name. Rolls off the tongue.
But is in fact a full hardware acceleration platform for inferencing neural networks.
Okay.
So it is
Okay.
inference, not training. This is what I keep trying to call it a GPU. This is a processor that would be in a VR headset or in a phone or some smaller device, in an inference type device. Josh, anything interesting stand out to you about this or what they're trying to do or this kind of effort they're making to maintain relevance and still be,
I think
relevant?
maintaining relevance and treading water is an interesting push for this. Other than that, I don't know.
Fair enough. They also announced a new GPU architecture, but I haven't had time to dive into that yet. I got all the documentation for it. It is also interesting to note how all this, they did sell their GPU division, right, to a Chinese company whose name I can't remember, but they didn't sell off the MIPS division. I don't know what it
Oh,
is.
thank God, not the MIPS division.
I know, we've saved MIPS for America, but their GPU is going to China. So I did see some discussion on Twitter about like, this is the first graphics architecture that a Chinese company has owned to themselves. So it'll be interesting, right? And, I imagine Imagination, I would believe Imagination has a ton of IP, right? And patents and stuff. So how does that work when an international company buys intellectual property that is registered in the US, regardless if it's China or somebody else?
You have to go through like export rules and
Does this
Stuff
have to?
like
Does
that.
this sale have to be approved still?
You can't
then I assume?
export IP because IP isn't internationally recognized.
True.
Especially not in China.
Yeah, exactly. Case in point.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Interesting.
You gain the ability to sue Apple in Britain if they violate your you get the ability to sue them in a major company that would
Right.
cripple them. Right. Like,
I'm sorry,
in the
your
EU,
corners are too rounded.
for a little bit. Maybe not for much longer in the EU.
Indeed. So anyway, there's that. We'll keep an eye. I'm still going to look at more of the Imagination GPU stuff. I want to know what they're going to turn it into. Like, what this company bought it for. Are they going to make another like Huawei Kirin competitor chip out there, or are they doing something completely different with it? I'm kind of curious. Next news story, EVGA GTX 1080 Ti FTW3 Elite. Jeremy, what is this?
Apart from a mouthful to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a fancy new cooler, the FTW3 from EVGA, which let them crank up the memory speed by a full gigahertz, which gives you an extra 44 gigabytes of memory bandwidth, which will be interesting to see if it actually does affect some of the crazy modders of Skyrim and Fallout that actually could use that much memory bandwidth when they're playing a game.
So this is GDDR5X, right? Because it's on a 1080 Ti.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it was originally at 10 gigahertz. Is that correct?
No, 11.
It was originally 11. Okay. It was the 1080 that was at 10.
484 gigabytes of memory bandwidth.
Right.
So this is just a pre-overclocked memory setting from this EVGA card. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, with fancy new ICX technology. And,
I do like it. I mean, it's
an interesting lineup.
It's probably not the same. It's not like they're just taking the same memory and just overclocking it by that stock. It's probably faster.
Micron might have new.
Right. It's probably faster memory
modules.
Yeah. Like just with faster timings.
Yeah. It could be. But like NVIDIA didn't release a 12 gigahertz model of this. Because you do remember, if you remember back, they did announce a 1080 with 11 gigahertz memory on it, right?
Sure.
When they announced the 1080 Ti, they also announced the lowering of prices of the 1080 with 10 gigahertz memory, but then also a 1080 with 11 gigahertz memory. And it never really turned into anything. It was either not useful or not performant enough to really matter. Like we never got, if something like that happens, usually an NVIDIA partner is sending me GPUs to look at and test, and that never really happens.
Comes in white and black.
Yeah. Their ICX stuff,
Elite white.
I know some people, love or hate their design. I get it. The ICX stuff is really cool. Just the different thermal probes they have all over the PCB and stuff, and temperature monitors.
And the ICX3 really or the FTW3 has already been out for a while.
Correct.
This is just another version of it.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, but it's brand new. So as Ryan was saying, it's likely a different iteration of GDDR5X.
Yeah.
The other thing I like about it is that there are LEDs on it. All they're doing is communicating the thermal state of the card. So they're actually providing information, not just flash.
those are along the top. The LEDs that are
It's odd that their press release says GDDR5 and not 5X.
It has to be X.
Yeah.
It has to be X.
It has to.
Yeah.
Does it really have to be?
That seems like a weird thing to get around.
Literally, the 1080 Ti was never shipped with anything but X.
Right.
I mean,
now, if it wasn't X, you would never be able to buy one of these cards.
You would what?
Never be able to buy one of those.
The 5 is the lower latent.
Because miners would have all in existence.
I could ask Jacob. Actually, here, let's see if I could get this in real time. Jacob.
I mean, he's probably watching, right?
You're going to make these cards sell out within 5 seconds.
This is the 1080 Ti FTW3 Elite GDDR5 or GDDR5.
Most interesting content.
Yeah.
No.
All right. So now we know
that. It was very much written by a PR flack, so there's no actual tech information.
I bet it was written by Jacob. He's going to be very upset to hear you say that.
Oh.
I bet it was.
Yeah, I'm gonna
at him for doing that, not including the fancy stuff for us.
I'm gonna tell him.
And now he's gonna get so many ding 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 on his phone.
He's gonna be trying to enjoy his evening. He's gonna get all these notifications from these assholes.
Some doesn't look like this
accomplished.
He was mourning Hugh Hefner in his own special way. And you interrupted that.
Maybe the things help.
You got to turn off notifications on your phone, bud.
It makes the screen really slippery.
You got to mute it. All right, one more news item.
Alcohol's for.
One more news item. We should have mentioned this in line with the Plex, but the NVIDIA SHIELD TV, they got a modest price drop. Now, not really a price drop. It's now available for as low as $179. So the Shield TV, 16 gigs, so the non-hard drive model with remote for $179. They basically, it's not a great deal if you think about it, because for $199 you would get the 16 gig with the remote and the gamepad, right?
Which sells separately for $60.
Which is a $59 product. Yeah. Now they have removed it and only giving you $20 off the price. Now the reasoning here is pretty obvious, like the Apple 4K TV, Apple TV 4K was launched at $179 at its minimum amount. And this is now matching the price, right? Because they didn't want to be more expensive in there. So it is available for that. I still think it's a really good device where it needs some more applications, like not the Shield itself, but Android TV. But overall, the Shield TV is still the best kind of like cord-cutting multimedia product that we have available to us.
FTW3 Elite is on Newegg for $850.
I have an answer from Jacob. This is why real-time media is so amazing.
Oh,
GDDR5X is correct. And he gave me, it's the Micron MT58 K256 M321 JA120A.
So obviously newer chips.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously.
So it's not necessarily that you're overclocking them so far. It's just that the DDR5X can just go faster.
Yeah. It's the new frequency.
Right. Yeah.
Holy cow, Jacob is a fast guy.
He's good. He's good. I imagine he's got like a special notification sound of like, oh, crap, Ryan messaged me. Oh, that's right. I am verified. It sends a special push through. Even if you have your notifications silenced because you're honoring Hugh Hefner in your own special way, verified notifications come through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was also part of
just turn it to vibrate and carry on.
It was part of the 280 character update, actually.
$850, man, that's a lot for a card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to our picks of the week. My pick of the week actually comes in courtesy of an email that came into us that Jeremy showed to me. That one of the listeners of the podcast, readers of the site, I guess, I don't know how much I want to say. He basically left a company he was working at to create this game. It's called Silicon Zeros,
yes.
Right?
Still thinking of Hugh.
I know. The idea is that it is a game with challenges where you're essentially designing a processor. As you go. A little like, I mean, it starts out very simple, like you're just moving an adder and an input. And then you make it a little bit more complicated and a little bit more complicated, and you add these different things to it. And like I played it for about 15 minutes this evening and got to like the third or fourth mission or whatever.
Oh, there's missions.
It's a puzzle. It's a puzzle game, right? They give you a target on the left. Oh yeah. I was just starting the section about memory when we had to do the podcast.
Sweet.
So this is it just came out September 18th. He just launched it. It is $14.99 on Steam.
And there's a soundtrack.
You can buy it with the soundtrack. So now I'm curious. I want to listen to more of the music. What's that?
No Linux.
What? Well, if he's listening, maybe that's an indicator that he should try that. Right?
Program a port inside the game.
Get a Windows machine.
Is that the Papers lady that just said puzzle complete?
Maybe. So you see, like it's the story, if you want to call it that, behind it is like a teacher who is like teaching you about computing stuff.
This is great for like kids that want to learn computer stuff.
Yeah. My only
learn
feed
on Rocky's boots on an Apple II.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, it looks like it gets pretty complex.
Wow.
So hopefully my mental capacity can handle it. No promises, I guess. But it looks pretty interesting. You know, there's no tutorial up front, I would notice, but like in the second or third mission, I keep saying mission challenge, it says like, hey, I know we're not telling you how this works as you go, but this is part of the process, and we'll bring it all back around in a little bit. So Silicon Zeros, it's on Steam. $15. Fan of the show, fan of the site. So there you go. Here's a good like GIF about what it is, Alan, right here. So you can see it does have clocks.
Clocks and latches.
Yeah. Build complex electronics from a variety of simple components like adders, latches, and multiplexers. Travel back to the 60s to Silicon Valley's very first startup and do your best to keep the whole thing from imploding. Solve more than 70 puzzles. So, yeah, original soundtrack by Craig Barnes, composer for Streets of Rogue and Inyo. I'm sorry to say I don't know what those are, but I will play this game and listen to the music. So, the The developer's name is Pleasing Fungus Games.
That's pretty good.
You know, there you go. Silicon
That's
Zeros.
kind of fungus.
Silicon Zeros.
Among
Check
Us.
that out. All right. Josh, you got something for me?
I don't know. Do I?
Is everything a fight with you?
I don't know. Do you?
I'm thinking. Oh, yeah.
He chimes in
I'm
all the
looking at it.
time
I
when
don't
you're
even
not
know
talking to
understand
him.
All
what
I
it
ever
is.
wanted was an Echo with a camera so that they could show me at my worst and expose me at my best.
Yeah.
And suddenly it became true. So here it is, the Echo Spot. It's got a screen and it's got a camera. So when I ever say, hey, Echo,
That's
show
not,
Raylene Richards,
first of all, that's not the word.
You can set it to that.
You can? Oh.
I can set anything I want.
No.
Well, that's
And
not
you know
true.
what? It'll show a picture of me looking at a picture of
Good morning.
whoever.
It's 6:30 a.m. Shut
It sure
up.
is.
Shut up.
I'm gonna dismiss that. You know what the best thing
Ooh,
about
Anderson
this?
Cooper.
I like the
it is
clock
the
thing.
size of a baseball, and so you can chuck it across the room at a pretty good velocity.
There is a clock face to it that looks like,
$129 seems steep.
Excessive?
Does it?
yeah.
I mean,
Echo Dot is
I think it's
$50.
about where it should be.
But it
Probably.
does all
Considering
it
the
does all of the other Echo stuff, right?
yeah, it does. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It just has a camera and a
Yeah.
thing on it. So
That'd be really
Al-
great.
Ken was saying earlier that
Yeah,
people
but it's
like
no
use this as
Billy
baby
Bass
monitor.
Billy Bass that's talking.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
True.
just not as good.
Use
So-
built-in speaker, connect the speakers through Bluetooth. I imagine the integrated speaker's not great. Kind
You
of
know,
like
what'd
the
be
Echo
really
Dot.
cool is if the Plex briefing stuff worked on this.
It would just play on through it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be.
They should be able to develop that app.
I
I don't
would
know
think
if they
so.
want to or not, but they have like a Plex app for Echo where you can control your Plex clients.
Okay. Yeah,
Probably
it's a good idea.
Probably has a frame rate of like 10 frames per second or
I
something.
bet
I mean,
it's fine.
it's got like video chat. Like it's one of the things to
Oh.
do is video chat, right?
So it's gotta have some sort
and they
of-
show it using as like a baby monitor. So you put one in your room and one in the baby's room, and you know, you can spy on the baby.
Yeah.
That's an expensive baby
Do
monitor.
these have? Oh, does this have built-in smart things and stuff support too?
No, only the Echo Plus does.
Oh, okay.
The
Which
Echo,
they announced a
Echo
whole bunch of
Plus
stuff today.
is the device, the newer device that can act like a smart.
Yeah. So
home
this
hub.
one's it's only $20 more for the Echo Plus, no screen. Apparently a better speaker, and it builds in what is it again? Zigbee controller into it, so you don't have to have an external device on your network for it, which is kind of nice. And it also comes with one light bulb.
Yeah.
One Philips Hue light bulb. All right.
Has Echo Show been around for a long time?
a couple of months.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember, and when you see a commercial for it on TV, it's always followed by the Intel jingle. That's how which we know very well here.
Yeah.
All right, Jeremy.
Well, there's some good news about Coffee Lake not supporting the Z270.
Yeah, what's that?
Suddenly, the boards are getting a lot cheaper.
Nice.
Like, say, after you do the mail-in rebate, $150 for a Z270 Gaming K3 from GIGABYTE. Not too bad for Canada.
For Canada, I guess. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Well, honestly, it's check Amazon, and it's probably a little bit more there.
Oh.
But yeah, so if you're dragging your heels, take a look at some of the deals like this. Take a look at some of the older Kaby Lake processors, and you can build yourself a seriously nice machine for a lot less than you might think.
Yeah, I guess I didn't say this during the Coffee Lake news story, but like, don't buy a system right now.
Right.
You know,
Unless it's dirt cheap.
Unless it's dirt cheap, but even then,
I mean, if it's dirt cheap.
My comment about the 6-core, 6-thread, $180 processor maybe having as good a performance as some quad-core hyper-threaded processors that are more dollars than that is worth. You want to know the answer to that before you buy anything.
So October 5th?
October 5th is that day, yes. So next Thursday, right? So I unless you...
At least wait until then.
If you're buying in this performance class, I would wait until October 5th, whether or not you were looking at an Intel system or a Ryzen system or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Which is why Intel didn't want this to leak out, a week and a half ahead of time. But, tough toodles.
But I mean, that is also always the state of buying a PC. It's like, well, if I just wait, something better will come out.
But
although October 5th is pretty damn close.
It's pretty close, and you like know all the specifications and you know the pricing. It's the only thing you're missing is the perf numbers. So keep that in mind. All right. And last.
So you know when you get like a new phone and all the screen is nice and slippery because it's got this oleophobic coating on it.
Yeah, it's great.
And then, but then it wears off. Right?
No.
Well, it does.
Not really.
I wash my hands.
Did you know you can reapply it?
Saran wrap?
No, not saran wrap. It's basically just a liquid you can get that you...
It's not in English.
It works kind of like wax, but it's not the same. But it's just the material, the coating material. Not that.
Does this come with a screen protector?
I think it comes with the screen protector, but that's not why you're getting this.
Why the hell would you get...
I don't know.
An oleophobic screen coating and then cover it with a piece of plastic.
Well, no, you can
good
also
luck making it stick depending on the glue they use.
That if it's a tempered glass screen protector, then you can also apply the coating on that.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Don't get this if you're going to try to put it on a plastic. If you have a plastic screen protector, like a non-glass screen protector, because it won't work.
How do you apply this?
You put it on like a cloth, you rub it, or you put a few drops on the screen, you rub it in with like a cloth, and you have to let it sit like overnight.
Overnight, wow.
You have to let it dry completely before you like buff it to like try to try to get it.
Do you have to be careful not getting it on the button or in the earpiece or anything like that?
I mean,
if I could read the instructions, I'd tell you.
Yeah, I mean, if you only put a few drops,
the fuss coat.
You're only putting a few drops on the screen as it is, and then you're just kind of rubbing it around, so it's gonna it's not like you're pouring it into the button or the earpiece, right?
Sure.
I mean, your speaker wants to be oleophobic anyways. You don't want oils in there.
It's true.
Sure. Yeah. They make versions of this for cars, but it's meant to be
That's contoured.
For Josh.
Fuso.
He always finds a way.
All right.
He always finds a way.
What episode is this, Josh?
Nice.
Anyway, so yeah, that's a thing if you want to get that coating back on a device that's not new anymore.
All right, noted. Anybody else?
Or anywhere else.
Oh. Nope. Don't get any ideas.
Ken, Alex, you don't have anything on this list, so we're good to go.
Not a chance.
Do not apply to head and face.
Apply directly to the forehead.
Apply directly to the forehead. Apply directly to the forehead. Apply directly to the forehead.
Close your eyes, damn it.
Is that even still like...
all right, everybody. Nope, we're going to end the show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. PCPer.com/podcast. Go there, find the RSS feeds, the show notes, links to all the stories we talked about, video files, everything that is involved with this program you can find at that URL, PCPer.com/podcast. Thank you guys very much for joining us. We'll see you next week. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Alan Malventano.